So CDDs are a big thing in the Tampa area, really a big thing in Florida. A lot of other states have the same kind of structure of how they build infrastructure and make people pay for it. I want to explain to you today what CDDs are and kind of how they work, how to avoid them, or what to expect for them. Here we go. I'm Sam and this is the Living in Tampa channel. We make these videos for you about what it's like to live and move to Tampa. We are also a team of realtors here in the Tampa area, and as much as we love making these videos, more than that, we would love a chance to earn your real estate business. So give us a call, text, or email anytime, and let's see how we can help you. So when I moved here in 2020, CDDs were one of the things I needed to learn about. Community development deeds, which is really just a fancy way of saying higher property taxes for new infrastructure. The way that this happens is typically with a new development. So when they put in a new neighborhood, they're building new roads, they're building new lighting systems, they're putting in sewer systems, they're putting in water systems, they're putting in internet lines, super fast internet lines in these new neighborhoods up north. All this stuff costs money. All this stuff costs hundreds of millions of dollars. Where does the developer get the money, and then who pays for all this? So the developer borrows the money through a bond, either issued by the county or the state, and then you, the residents of that new area, pay for that over the next 30 or so years. So right now I'm in West Chase. West Chase, you see this zip code in Tampa, 33626. West Chase mostly has CDDs still. So a lot of the area was started to be built in 1999. So the CDDs are getting older. Sometimes they cap out at 30 years when the debt is paid off. Sometimes they need to extend that a little bit longer to pay off something else they did. West Chase has cheaper CDDs. And we'll get into actual numbers of what these look like, but I wanna explain kind of how the process works. And the thing is, newer construction, if it's built after 2000, 90% of these have CDDs. Of course, there's occasional neighborhoods that don't, occasional little areas that don't. Or if a new house is built, they tore down an old house and built a new house, that is not typically going to have any kind of additional property taxes like this. And I'm gonna say property taxes and CDD kind of interchangeable at times because the way that it's reflected is on your property taxes. Sometimes you'll see that in the listing where the property taxes seem super high, and that might include the CDD. But the CDD is just added to your property taxes. You pay it the same way. If you have a mortgage, it gets escrowed the same way and paid by the escrow company. And another quick thing, sometimes right now, especially newer homes feel cheaper. Maybe they have some incentives or it's less competitive. So newer homes sometimes feel like a better deal. But you're typically going to have this additional, $1,500 to $3,000 a year, which when you look at it per year, look at what you're paying over the lifetime of the home. It's really not that extreme. So say it's $3,000 a year. Over the life of a 30-year loan, that's $90,000. Sounds like a lot, but over 30 years will likely not feel like much compared to the interest you pay on your mortgage. And you get to stretch it out over 30 years. So it feels like a lot in the beginning, of course, but the CDD doesn't go up, which is nice, and it gets really spread out. Okay, but let's run through a specific example. So Metro Development Group, this big development group that developed Epperson and Murata, South Shore Bay down by Waimama, and now they're developing Angeline in Land O'Lakes. This developer comes in and buys a big chunk of land. Before they buy it, they get all these plans approved with the state and county and city of what they want to do with it. There's all kinds of impact involved with that. They need a certain amount of exits away from that many residential units. They need to preserve a certain amount of land. They need a certain amount of parks. They need a school if it's above a certain amount of residents. All these kind of things they have to follow in the state of Florida. So they do all this negotiation with the state and city and county. Then they come back to them and say, okay, well, we need to borrow this couple $100 million to build out all this infrastructure, and we'll make all the residents pay it back to you. So they borrow all this money to develop the land to make it ready for a builder to come in and build a house. So the builder is separate from the developer. The developer brings these builders in. Sometimes they're connected. There might be a D.R. Horton neighborhood and the developer just develops this one neighborhood for D.R. Horton, but like these ones I'm talking about are mixed builders in there. So you're gonna have Lennar and D.R. Horton and Taylor Morrison and Miranda and all these different builders in there. So these builders in these big master plan communities are invited in by the developer. They're given certain sections, and then those sections, they just know, okay, the lots are 50 feet wide or 75 feet wide or whatever they are. This is how much the CDD will be for those lots. They have all the information ahead of time. The builder starts building a model home. They start marketing these houses. They start getting people in. They assign sales teams. They do all this marketing, get people in and sell these houses. CDD gets filtered down through. Another thing that happens in this is that the developer still holds a lot of the power. So just because the builder has these lots assigned to them doesn't mean they can just build on all of them. It doesn't mean they can just build the most expensive houses they want. They have very specific guidelines with the developer, what they're allowed to build and the timeline they're allowed to build it in. So it might be like, okay, you have these 4 random lots you have to build on first out of your 40, and then we're gonna pick 4 other random ones every couple months that you can build on and sell. So the builders are kind of restricted by the developer. This is kind of a strange relationship to me. And these builders are then always trying to play this game of keep the developer happy so we get invited back for phase 2. Let's show that our residents are super happy with our homes, and let's sell them really fast and like do a really good job representing this development so that the developer invites us back for phase 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. Okay, but that relationship is how it is. How does the CDD fit into all this, and how does it affect you? So you remember all that money that the developer borrowed from the state or the county to develop all this site. Now that has to be paid back. That's issued as debt. That's a bond that gets issued, and then it gets paid back through your property taxes if you live in this area. So surely there's interest calculated on this, and then it gets distributed across the residents based on lot size. So we'll use a pretty small example. So say there's 1,000 50-foot lots, so 50 feet wide, and the cost for a 50-foot wide lot is $1,000 per year per each resident. So then that means this neighborhood of 1,000 lots, each paying $1,000, is generating $1 million in additional property tax that's paying the CDD off at $1 million a year. So in this scenario, the total cost, the principal and interest for this CDD is $30 million over that 30 years. So you can see how quickly this can go up. If, say, the neighborhood is 4,000 homes, or say every resident in the neighborhood is paying $4,000. Say it's 1,000 homes, they're each paying $4,000 in CDD every single year. That's $120 million in additional tax revenue that's paying back all of this infrastructure over 30 years. But the thing is, it's just never the same. It never makes that much sense. It's never like X plus Y equals Z. I've also heard of them expanding them. I've also heard of them different sections negotiated differently, all these kind of things. But I wanted to just kind of break this down as simply as I could so you understand what the CDD is and you understand what it's paying for. And again, we would love a chance to earn your real estate business. So give us a call, text, or email anytime. We'd love to hop on a Zoom call and process how we can help you make the move. Thanks for coming by.